Yes, guys, welcome back to more GBFC. Aston Villa are playing Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, and Arsenal are playing Real Madrid. In today's video, I'm going to break down exactly how Aston Villa can knock out Paris Saint-Germain, and at the end of the video, how Arsenal can knock out Real Madrid. I think both of the two English clubs left in the competition have probably got the two trickiest sides to play. Aston Villa are coming up against a Paris Saint-Germain side who have lost 4 matches this season to Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid and Arsenal. And 2 of those defeats were against a 4-2-3-1, so this is immediately boding well for Aston Villa. The defeat to Liverpool played a 4-2-3-1 and so did Bayern Munich. But the problem that Aston Villa have is they are very much in uncharted territory right now. However, they've got a manager, Unai Emery, who in European competitions absolutely turns up and delivers. My concern for Aston Villa, before we go into the ways that they can beat them, is the fact that Aston Villa this season, if we take a look at their results, there are 3 matches in particular I want to focus on here. The 2-0 defeat to Arsenal, where they played against a 4-3-3. The 4-1 defeat at Spurs, where late in the game they were battered by Ange Postecoglou's 4-3-3. And then the Newcastle away game. All 3 of those matches, Aston Villa were quite convincingly beaten by a 4-3-3. And Paris Saint-Germain, they have become one of the most clinical teams with Luis Enrique this season with a 4-3-3. If we take a look at Arsenal, who beat Paris Saint-Germain this season 2-0. It was the heaviest defeat that they've suffered this year under Luis Enrique. Arsenal that day went with a 4-4-2. If we take a little look at Aston Villa, this is what we saw from them against Nottingham Forest. Average position-wise, you've got Donyell Malen the most advanced. You've got some serious width here from Garcia and Ian Martson. I think this is going to be key for Aston Villa because what Paris Saint-Germain do so well is condense the middle of the park. If we take a little quick look here at the average position for Paris Saint-Germain away at Arsenal earlier this season, look at that when it comes to a 4-3-3 mess compared to this, which was an absolute masterpiece at Anfield. The average positions here, that is as 4-3-3 as you can possibly get. You've got the width here of Nuno Mendes, who was absolutely brilliant, Achraf Hakimi, and then look at how close Neves, Vitinha and Ruiz are in this midfield. And then you've obviously got the pace of Kvaratskhelia and Ousmane Dembele, who has been one of the informed players in Europe this season. He's Paris Saint-Germain's top scorer. And Bradley Barcola is just a pot of tricks. And this is not going to be easy for Aston Villa to combat. If Paris Saint-Germain are on form, which they probably will be, it's going to be very difficult. I've actually been to a Champions League night in the Parc des Princes with Chelsea. John Obi Mikel scored. We went 1-0 up. We all went potty. Ended up 4 rows in front of us. And then they drew 1-1. It is not an easy place to go. This is, when I say uncharted territory for Aston Villa, combating the atmosphere is going to be so key for Unai Emery's players. And the question really is there enough quality in this Aston Villa team? And I'm going to absolutely say that there is. I think they can hurt them with the natural width of an Ian Martson. Garcia, I actually thought did quite well, but even if it's Disasi at right back, could be decent. Yuri Tielemans, and you guys told me in the comments of the Villa video we made at the weekend that my pronunciation was jarring. Hopefully that was slightly better. If not, let me know again in the comments down below. Aston Villa have got quality here. That front 4, especially in that first half against Forest, excellent. Ollie Watkins doesn't need to be firing every game because Morgan Rogers has decided that he's an absolute baller and he's having an unbelievable season. You also look here at this Aston Villa bench. The likes of Matty Cash, Pau Torres, Luca Dean. When we look back to the Aston Villa team, that's the wrong one, that played, that's also the wrong one. Where's it gone? Where's Aston Villa against Arsenal? Look at that back line. It's so different now. Aston Villa have evolved as this season has gone on under Unai Emery. First things first, this is not going to be easy, but I'm going to say this now. The fact the second leg is at Villa Park is humongous. Because even if you listen to the atmosphere through the television, when Aston Villa were playing Forest at the weekend, you can hear a club's fans that are absolutely behind their players because they can sense that something magical could be happening. There are 3 competitions here where Aston Villa could blow teams out the water. They could win an FA Cup. They could potentially win a Champions League, which would be sensational, and they can still finish in the top 4 or 5 in the Premier League. We are talking about a PSG team that have already won the league now. Is there a hangover for Paris Saint-Germain for winning the French league? I strongly doubt it because they win it every bloody year almost. So I think everything is focused, tunnel vision, on beating Aston Villa. But the momentum that Villa have got right now, 7 wins in a row, I think taking PSG to Villa Park in that second leg next week, as long as it's only 1 goal deficit, although PSG was so good at Liverpool, if Villa get a draw tomorrow night, then I think it's an unbelievable result and I back them to get something in the second leg at Villa Park. Now, let's move and talk about Arsenal, because Arsenal versus Real Madrid, look, Chelsea and Real Madrid, we've had battles over recent years, and you can never write Real Madrid off in the Champions League. If we take a look at the results of Real Madrid this season, they've had some pretty heavy defeats. The 4-0 at home to Barcelona, the 5-2 in the Supercopa against Barcelona, beaten by Liverpool, beaten by Milan, Lille, Athletic Club, Espanyol. This isn't the best Real Madrid team that we have ever seen. And I think this season, they have really struggled, particularly against teams that can stay compact. And if you watch Real Madrid against Valencia on the weekend just gone, Valencia frustrated Real Madrid. And they've obviously got players all over the field that can hurt you. But when it comes to Arsenal, right, I just feel as though everything is focused on this game. I think the draw against Everton didn't really matter that much. Liverpool getting beaten by Fulham. It's just another game towards Liverpool winning the league, in my opinion. If we take a look at the predicted lineups here, Arsenal have just got to stay in this tie. I think if Arsenal can draw, well, you've obviously got to go for it here at the Emirates, but just make sure you're still in it, because if Real Madrid win, you're going out. If you're going to the Bernabeu already behind, there's no way that, in my opinion, a team of this quality is gonna get beat. Bukayo Saka being back is massive. I think Martinelli is a key player here for Arsenal because they're going to need some pace. They're going to need to be bold. Arsenal attacking this side of the pitch. Modric, Camavinga for Real Madrid. That's obviously a strong midfield. But that is also a strong Arsenal midfield. This is the game that Arsenal need to go for. We've spoken a lot this season about Arsenal struggling. They're not as emphatic going forward as they were. Saka's been out for such a large portion of the season. Now he's back. Can they find that rhythm again? Arsenal need to go at Real Madrid here. And I think they've got to try and score a couple of goals if they're going to progress in the competition. But I do think they can. I think this Real Madrid team is absolutely beatable. It's not the strongest back line. Thibaut Courtois, he turns it on in this competition. I think he's the best goalkeeper in world football. And I think Valverde is absolutely sensational. Even got an 8.2 despite Real Madrid losing at the weekend. My predictions for the first round of matches. If you haven't seen, we did a full Champions League predictor earlier on in this channel's lifespan. But Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, if we take a look, these are the fixtures. Tonight, Bayern versus Inter. Ignore the 5 a.m. That's what time it is, I think, wherever my VPN is on right now. I don't know where that is. Bayern are going to win that first leg 1-0. Arsenal, it's going to be 1-1 at the Emirates, I think. I think Barcelona beat Dortmund 2-0. I think it's also 1-1 between PSG and Aston Villa. That's not me being boring. I think it's going to be really hard for Villa, I'm not going to lie. But I think they can do it. I believe in that momentum they've got right now. And Arsenal can hurt Real Madrid. I think this is the time to go at Real Madrid. They're a bit worried. They're a bit weary after that defeat to Valencia. Let me know, if you're a Villa fan, what are you expecting from the game away at PSG? Arsenal, are you excited for Real Madrid? Stupid question, isn't it, really? Don't bother answering that. I know you are. But anyway, thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure you stay tuned and subscribe to more GBFC for more content. I'll see you guys later.